Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. இது உங்கள் சீக்ரெட் இன்வெஸ்டிகேஷன் ஆஃப் மிஸ்ட்ரி. நம்ம இன்னைக்கு நானும் உங்களுக்கு கணேஷ். இன்னைக்கு நம்ம என்ன பார்க்க போகிறோன்னா கிங்ஸ் அண்ட் கிங்டம்ஸ் சாப்டர் 2 many new dynasties empowering after the 17th century map one shows that the major ruling dynasties in a different parts subcontinent between the 17th and 15th century. The emergence of new dynasties by the 17th century, they were big landlords or the warriors in chiefs in the different religions of the subcontinent. Existing kings are often acknowledged them as their subcontinents as Shamtras. They were expected to bring a gift for their kings or overlords to be present at their courts and provide them military support. As the Shamtras gained power and wealth, declined themselves as the Mahasamtras. Mahashram, the great lord of the circle or a religion, and so on. Sometimes they were seen their independence for their overlords. One such instant was early Rajputas in a decline entity entirely and were suburbs and the Kshatriyas of Karnataka in the mid-18th century. Dalgua Rajarkota chief overture in a Kshatriya's warlord has performed a ritual called into Hivaya Garbara, literally the golden womb. When the ritual was performed by the help of the Brahmins, it was to the led in the rebirth of the sacrificer as a Kshatriya's caste, even not one by birth. In other cases, men from the enterprising families, their military skills to the carve out kingdoms. For instance, the Karamba Harman and the Gujarata Prakasha Maharashtra and the Brahmins who gave up their traditional professions took their armies successfully embraced kingdoms in Karnataka as the Rajasthan respectively. Administration in the kingdoms. Many of these new kings adopted high surrounding titles such as Maharaja and many of these new kings adapted to the high surrounding titles such as Maharaja, Habir, Great King, Overlord of the King, Taurata, Chakwan, Lord of the Three Worlds, and so on. However, the spirit of such claims, they are shared power with Samtiras as well as with associated pleasures, traders, and Brahmins in each of the state in observation from the products in a pieces in a candle. Artists who are often pleasured are completed to be claimed in a rent due to the lots assigned that they owned the land revenue of collected from the traders 400 taxes. The inscripts of the Cholas ruled in the Tamil Nadu refers to more than 400 terms for the different kinds of taxes. The most frequently method is vetti, taken in the cash but in the form of focused laboratory, and kadamai or land revenue. There are also taxes transferring the house or a lender claimed plan to is a seize on succession to be family property, etc. There are any such taxes collected today? The resources are all the financed the king established as well as for construction of temples and forts. They are also used to fight wars and were turned in the expected to lead the aquarium of wealth in the form of pyramid and access to the land as well as trade zones. The functions for collecting revenue were generally recollected from the influenced family and possible were often hensing they are true about their army as well. In many cases, close revenues of the king held their positiveness. Conscripts and the land grains. Pesticus contains detail that may not be literally true but tell us how rulers wanted to display themselves as a uh, wealth, victories, warriors. For example, these were composed by the leader Brahmins who occupyly held in the administration, the achieve of Nahitya. Many rulers described as achieves in Panchriyas. You will read about the Panchriyas of the Gupta ruler Santui one pastry with last year one pastry written in the Sanskrit found in the governor Mastra present described in the exports of the Nigeria Petra king has followed. The king of Hat was sent to a Sindh part of Maharashtra and the Kalfa part of Odisha fell before him every as he was a prize. He won a victory on his son to the ruler Kanjur. He defeated the of Bengal, part of Bengal, Atra, part of Gujarati Mara, part of the Maha, Maharashtra Pradesh, Katra forest peoples, Kunta Kunz was in Maharashtra, both the kingdoms in North India. The often revenued the Brahmins by the great of the these records are all the copier planes in the given those who are land having received the land. What is given with the land? This is a Tamil section of the land great given by the Cholas. We have demarcated the borders of land by making the earthen combines as well as the by planting territory brushes. This was to be contain land, fruit, basin trees, water, land, gardens and all grass trees, wells, open space, pleasure land, the village, ant hill, platforms, canals, thistles, rivers, straight land and land tanks, Gujarat fish ponds, bee hills, and deep lakes are all received land from collected taxes from it. He can collect the taxes imposed by the judicial officers as fines. The taxes in a brittle leaves that warm cloths are all well as on the vehicles. He can build a larger rooms in upper stories and he baked bikes and he can large small wells dug in his plant and the trees are territory best it is necessary. He can get the canals constantly in irrigation. He should ensure the water not wasted and embankments are built. List out the possibilities of the irrigation melted in the inscripts in the discussion how these might have been used. Unusually for the 20th century as a long Sanskrit poem containing the history of the king who ruled over Kashmir. He was composed by the author named Kaltana and the various he used a variety of resources including inscripts, documents, eyewitness accounts and the earlier historicals to write his his account. Unlike the writers of Parasists, he was critical about the rulers and their political welfare for wealth. You may have noticed each of these ruling dynasties based on the specific religion at the same time are tired to control other areas. One particularly prized areas of the Kanjo and the Ganga Valley for the centuries. Rulers belonging to the Gujarata, Prakasha, Rajputas and Pala dynasties fought for control over the Kanjo because they were parties and their long-drawn confident historicals often describes it as an Nepali struggles. Rulers also tried to demonstrate their large power and resources by the building a large temple. So when they attack one another kingdoms, they are often close to target temples which were sometimes extremely rich. One of the best known of such rulers in Sultan Mahmud of Gujarati Afghanistan. He ruled from 997 to 1030. His extension control for parties of the Central Asia, Iran and the northern western part of the subcontinent. He invaded over the subcontinent almost every year. His targets were the wealthy temples, including of the Sultan Gujarati. Much of the welfare Muhammad carried away from some of the great spiritual capital city at the Gujarati other kings who employed in the welfare, including the Shamtiras, later known as the Shamtiras, who ruled over the religion around Delhi and Hampi. Their attempt to explain their control to the west and the Gujarat and the Gauras of the west, Uttar Pradesh are the best known as Kuttaman ruler was Patata 1168 to 1192 are defeated in the Afghanistan ruler named Sultan Mahmud Ghauri in 1191, but he lost them in the very next year 1192. A closer look the Cholas from the Uttarakhand to Tanjore. How did the Cholas rise to the power? A minor chieftain family known as the Mambo held power in the Kaveri Delta. They were subjects in the Paravar kings of the Rajakutam Vedas belongs to the ancient Greek chiefly families of the Cholas. Uttar Pradesh captured in the Delta Mahmud and the middle of the 19th century. He built the town of the Tanjore and the temples for goddess and Narasimha there. The succession of the Vijayapuram consequenced neighborhooding religions of the kingdoms grew in the size of the Rajakutas. One considered the most powerful rulers became the king in 985 was explained in the control of the most over of these areas is also recognized as the administration of the empire. Raja's son Rajatwa one continued his political and even happy the Ganga Valley, Sri Lanka and the countries and the Southeast Asia developing a navy for this experience. Splendid temples and bronze spectacles. The big temples of the Tanjavur, Gangagota, Solapuram are all the by the Rajaraja and Rajatra are all the agriculture and the marvels. So, Chola's temples are often the nursing of sediments which give around them are all the centers of the giving production. Temples where the download which land by the rulers as well as by the other. The product of the land went into the maintaining the specialized who worked guild makers, cooks, sweepers, musicians, dancers, etc. In other words, the temples is not only the place of the worship but the hub of the economic, social, and the cultural life and as well. The utmost of the grafting associated with the temples, the making the bronze image in the most defining Chola's bronze image are already considered among the Chola bronze image considered amongst the fastest in the world, while the most images were of the delta. Sometimes images were be made of developments as well. Agricultural and irrigation. The many of the achievements are the Cholas naked upon the possibilities in the new developments in the agriculture. Look at the map to ahead and notice the river Kavai branches of the into several small small channels before the empty of into the Bay of Bengal. They are the channels overflows the frequently depositing the fertile soil over the banks. The water channels also provide the necessary to the moisture for agriculture, particularly the realization of cultivation of the rice. All throughout, agriculture had developed earlier in other parts of the Tamil Nadu. This is not only of the 15th and 16th century. The areas was opened in a large scale civilization. Forest had been cleared in religions had been cleaned up in some religions. Land had been levanted in other areas in the delta religion. Flooding in the canals had been constantly to carry water to fill the fields. The many areas to crops were grown earlier. The many cases in other necessary to be other crops artificially. A variety of the method used irrigation in some areas as well dug in other places the hug. Huge tanks were considered to collect the rainwater. Remember, the irrigation work required planting, organization, laboratory, and resources, maintaining the work and deciding to be how the water is to be shared in the most new rulers are the people live in a village took active interest in these activities. The administration of the empire, how was the administration originated sediments and the pleasures known as wool, and where pleasures with the spread irrigation agriculture groups of such village formed by a large is called a Nod. The village council of the Nod perform several administrative functions including disappearing judicial and the other taxes which pleasures of the Villa caste experienced considerable control over the affairs of the Nadu under the Cholas gave some rich landlords titles as Mantua various pleasures shivering the three kings. Altuva chief etc. are all the makers of the expert entertainment them in important offices and the state at the center. The types of land. Cholas inscripts and the mentionation of the several categories of the land. Velta, the land of the non-Brahmins, pleasures, properties, Brahmanas, land gifted to the Brahmins. Samturas, the land is maintained for a school. Dalita, temporary, are gifted to temples. Pacharam, the donated for the giant institutions. We have the Brahmins often received the land from the Brahmanta as the result of the large number of the Brahmins settled in the emerged Kaveri Valley as in other parts of the southern India. Each branch is known as the after an assembly or samtya of prominent Brahmanans and the landlords. These are all the assemblies worked very effectively in their uh, decisions were recorded in a detail. Inscripts are often on the stone walls of the temples. Associations of tang traders are known as Nangabras also considerably performed administration functions in towns, in scripts and retirement in Granpur district in Tamil Nadu, and details to the in a way of the which is sometimes is originated in a Sumter had separate committees to look after irrigation's works, gardeners, temples, etc. Names of those, those eligible to be members of the committee were written on small tickets of the plum leaf, and the tickets were pulled into an earthenware pot from the young boy walks as to take out the tickets one by another committee inscriptions and text. Who could be a member of the Sumter, the Uttar Pradesh and the inscripts lays down all those who are wishes to become members of Sumter should be all owns the land from which the revenue is collected. They should be have a homes should be between 35 to 70 years of age, should be a knowledge of the Vedas. They should be well versed of the administrative matters and homers if anyone has been a member of this committee for the last 2 years or already cannot become the member of other committees. Anyone who are not submitted the office account, all those who are relatives or can't be considered of elections. While the inscripts tell us about the king, powerful men, hence are already expected to perform Panta 15th 20th century Tamil work. Information about us to live of the original men and women on the outer silk of the Huddento and the small ornament of the publics. The name of the social group considered outcast by the Brahmins and Vedas studied about a small huts of another old Tancrips in a area inhabited by the ancients and laboratories recognized in the marital comparables in a three holes are hut covered with the strip of the leader. Little chickens moved about in the groups. Dark children who are the branches of the black iron planking about carrying the little puppies as the shape manto altura. All the trees female laboratory who a baby sleep on a shade of lantern in a mango trees all the branches drums and the hill hunting with under the coconut plants in a little holy in a group of a tiny headed branches lay after wilping the wet casted cooks in a crowd before the dawn, calling in the brownie pulta in a day work after by the day under the shade between a Kanchui tree and spare the over of the wallet tree. Hide Putta woman sings thereafter hunking for the electricity and its effort. Introduction. Electricity is a branch of the physical which deals with the national effort and the stationary or the moving electricity changes. Electricity is the most convenient widely used from the electricity is the transmit over a long distance relevant from a loss in energy. In the India, several power plants like a terminal power plant of electricity plant, hydro electricity power plant, nuclear power plant, etc. are considered to be generation amount of the electricity. The fundamental concept of the electricity are the electricity changes their properties, resistance, operational difference in the electrical current effects and of the current various appliances in a day-to-day life in a discussed below. Electric changes, they are the kinds of the electricity are all the changes, their developments by rubbing a glass rod with a silk in a different changes are all the different rubbing by the embroidered rod with the fall and electricity changes development glass rod which is various which changes development on the embroidered rod and which are heterosis Benjamin Franklin, American scientist, it introduced the modern concept of the electricity changes. He named the vectors and positive changes are all the existence of the negative changes are all the positive of the electric current. In the important of the properties of the electricity are followed as electric changes and the scalar quantities. The magnitude of the changes in a proton is same equal to 1.6 into 10 by minus 19 scale. Like the scale repeat the unlike the changes are already attached each another. Electricity changes is always consecutive with the neither created destroyed. SL unit of change. The SL unit of change is compound is denoted by C1 or compact of the changes in a development to change of the nearly 10 into 6 into 10 power 10 power 18 electrons static or frictional electricity. These electricity changes development and object when they are rubbed with each other with a frictional electricity. Frictional electricity is also a static electricity because changes or developments can't be moved from one part of the object to another part. Current electricity, the electricity produced due to the movement of the changes is called the current electricity. Conductor substance are the throughout electricity they flow freely and can't and called conductors, for example silver, copper, aluminum, graphene, etc. Isolers, those who are substance which throughout electricity can't flow is called isolers. For example glass, rubber, paper, plastic, etc. Electric current are the amount of the changes flowing toward a given cross section of the conductor per unit is a time called the electric current. Let Q to be amount of the changes from toward the conductor of the time t is second and the current is given by I is equal to Q by T. Electric current is the quality of the SL unit of the current in a ampere. A is I is equal to Q by T is the first formula and the second formula 1 ampere is equal to 1 compound by second. இது ஒரு actual formula. அதாவது இங்கே எழுதி காமிக்கேன் 1C by 1S. ஆனால் இது வந்து ஆக்சுவல் ஃபார்முலா. நம்ம எழுதின ஸ்கிரிப்டில் ஈஸியாக இருக்கணும்னு அந்த ஃபுல் ஸ்பெல்லிங் இருக்குது. இது கிளியராக என்னால் எழுத முடியல. இல்லைனா இன்னொரு ஃபார்முலா உண்டு 1A is equal to 1CS minus 1. And thus the electric current flowing throughout the conductors are to be 1 ampere when one compound changes flows toward any cross section and the conductor in 1 second. Smaller units of electricity current 1 milliampere short form M A equal to 10 minus 3A 1 microampere இங்கே தான் ஸ்பெல்லிங் மாறும், அதாவது ஷார்ட் ஃபார்ம், அதாவது 10 minus 6A. How many electrons there are in the one combo of change? We let know about the Q is equal to Ne, where N is a number of the electrons, or N is equal to Q by E 1 by 1.6 into 10 minus 19. எனக்கு இடம் இல்லைன்னு ஒன்று கீழே ஒன்றா போடுறேன், ஆனால் இந்த மாதிரி போடக்கூடாது. is equal to 6.25 into power 10 power 18 electrons. One combo of change is equal to nearly 6 into 10 power 18 electrons. Direction of the electric current. Consider the direction of the electricity current electrons are the opposite directions of the flow of the electrons. It is the direction of the electric current of the positive terminal of the cell or battery to a negative terminal throughout the external current. Continuously they close the part of the electric current is called the electric circuit. Electric circuits are represented by drawing circuit diagrams. A simple electric current is shown in a figure. Open circuit and electronic circuit throughout which no electricity current flows is known as a open electric circuit. Closed circuit. An electric circuit throughout which the current is flows constantly is known as a closed circuit. Circuit diagram and electric current composed cell in a cell or a battery is bunks of the electrical compounds. Electrical compounds of the circuit represented by the symbol of the convenience used by various electrical symbol, and the electrical current are given in the following table. அதாவது நம்ம போஸ்ட்டில் இல்லைன்னா பிளாகில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா டேபிளில் இருக்கும். அண்ட் எலக்ட்ரிக் செல் அதான் இப்படி வருது, இப்படி வரும், இது கொஞ்சம் பெருசாக வரும், ப்ளஸ் மைனஸ், இது வந்து எலக்ட்ரிக் செல். இதில் இது தப்பாக ஆனது இது. அப்புறம் battery or combining of cell. And a punch key or a switch open. A punch key or a switch closed. A wire joint. Wires closing without joining. Wire crossing without joining. Electrical bulb. இதை 2 விதமாக வரைவாங்க. நம்ம பழைய பிளாக்ஸில் இப்படி தான் இருக்கும். இல்லை ம் ம் கீழே இருக்கு. இல்லை சின்னதாக இருக்கிறது பாசிட்டிவ், சின்னதாக இருக்கிறது நெகட்டிவ். அப்போ ரெசிஸ்டர் ஆஃப் ரெசிஸ்டன்ஸ் ஆர் a variable resistance or electrical. இல்லைன்னா இது அதான் எனக்கு செய்ய வழியே வரல. ஆனால் இது பிளாகில் போய் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா போயும் ஆம்பர். இதுவும் செய்ய எனக்கு வழியே வரல. வரைஞ்சிடுவேன். வால்ட் மீட்டர் இதுவும் செய்ய முடியல. And note ampere is the instrument used to measure the electric current throughout the branch of circuits, and ampere is always connected to a series in an electric current. This is because the resistance of ampere is very small, so that does not affect the resistance of the current. The electric potential and potential difference electric potential and potential difference are the electronic potential at a point of the electric fields defeated as the work is done by the unit positive change infinity to the positive without the increasing at the potential is denoted by the symbol V at the SL unit of volt. The potential difference at the 2 points of the electrical fields is defined the amount of the work done in a moving unit positive change from the one point to another without angling it. It is potential difference V between the points work done by change. And P is equal to W by Q. Next one, when W is one journal and the Q is equal to 1 combo, then is V is equal to 1J by C is equal to 1JC. And 1 volt is equal to 1JC minus 1. Thus, the potential difference between the 2 points is thought to be in 1 volt, and the 1 joule of the work is done by the moving 1 combo of the electric change from a point to another without angling it. The potential difference in a scalar quantity with the measured means of the instrument is called odometer. The odometer is always constituents in a parallel across points between the potential difference is to be measured. Ohm's law is given relationship between the current potential difference. Ohm's law state in a consider physical connections. The current flowing throughout the conductor is directly potential at the potential difference across its end. Thus, according to Ohm's law, NRED. When R is constable of the property is called the resistance of the conductor is SL unit of the resistance is Ohm law, and gap is between V and I is straight line is passing toward the origin of the shown as the figure resistance of the conductor. The property of the conductor due to which it opposes the flow of current throughout is called resistance. The resistance of the conductor numeric values are equal to ratio and uh, polarity difference between across its end current flowing toward it. It is resistance is equal to P by potassium optional difference by current. R is equal to V by I. Now V is equal to 1 volt and I is equal to 1 ampere. Then R is equal to 1 thus 1 ohm is resistance of the conductor in a parallel across the 1 volt. The current volt it is 1 A, and the factors of the resistance of the conductor depends on the resistance of the conductor. Departments in the factories length of the conductor and the areas of the cross sections of the conductor and the nature of the material in the conductor of the temperature of the conductor efforts and the length of the conductor in resistance of the conductor of the directly optional. It is a length. It is R is equal to and they are the ohm is a constituents of the respectively specific resistance are the material of the conductor. SL unit of the resistance is ohm meter. அதாவது component power of the resistance are the component of the two resistance. At the first is called the series combined. The second combined is called the parallel combined series connection. அதாவது இது லென்த்தாக 3 வருது, இதே நேராக வருது. இவ்வளோ பெரிய இடத்துல டியூண்ட் இடத்துல என்னால் கவர் பண்ண முடியல. நெக்ஸ்ட்டு தி employment is given by R equal to R is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3, and remember when the number of the resistance is connected with the serial, the number of the total difference across all the resistance is equal to the voltage of the battery is equal to applied with when the number of the resistance with a series of the same current flows throughout which is resistance is same of the current flowing with the whole circuit. When the number of the resistance is connected with a series, the evolution of the resistance with the circuit will be always greater than the value of the largest resistance of the electricity. Parallel connection. is equal to 1 by r is equal to 1 by r1 is equal to 1 by r2 plus 1 by r3. And remember, when a number of the resistance of the connected with a parallel length, the connected net resistance is diluted by the resistance less than the resistance of the smallest individual resistance. The polational difference in each resistor is the same as the applied voltage in a sum of the flowing toward the series of the equal in a total current flowing toward the circuit. And heating effect on current, the wire is hot when electric current passes through it. This is called heating effect. And the effect current you may have seen electric home heater are used for cooking. All this contains the coil wire of these coil wires are called as mint wires made by some of the specific materials melt quickly, break into the larger electrical current are passed toward them. All the wires are making the fuels, and the burning fuels are inserted with electrical circuits are the maximum limit of the current are the safely toward the circuits. If made by accident, the current is excess. This is a safe limit, and the wires become the overheat is causes fire. Proper fuel is there are the circuit in a broom of the brake in a circuit are the safety device in the prevents damage in a circuit in a possible fires. Minitude circuit breaker circuit breaker has switch in a sole noted collector in a series in a live wire of the circuit. Her heavy soft iron core lies in a particularly shorted in the when the current is greater than the particular values of the positive toward on a Sultan core in a pulled in the core switched on open in a brake circuit in a switch can be turned again it manually once again the electrical fault is refilled fuel shown as the current is breaker works. அதை நம்ம போஸ்ட்டில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அந்த இமேஜ் இருக்கும். அதனால் இங்கே இந்த இமேஜை ட்ரா பண்ண முடியாது. The magnitude effect of the electrical current take the cardboard of the any tray or the insert decayed matchbox wrapped electric wires a few times around the cardboard tray or the placed compass needle inside. Now you connect the free ends of this wire or the electric cell switch of this in a figure. We are known as the needle of the compass. It's a tiny magnet. Each point is north-south direction, which brings a magnet closer to it. Its needle gets reflected. We also see the compass needle. It gets directed when the current flows is nearly a wire. So when electric current passes through a wire, beats like a magnet. It is a magnetic effect of the electrical current. In fact, the electric current can be used to make the electromagnets. The electromagnets are the temporary magnets. When the electromagnetic current is passed through a coil, behaves as a magnet, and the electromagnetic is made by a strong can lift a heavy large loads. The electromagnets are also used to separate the magnitude material and the junk, and the data used the tiny electromagnetic to take out the small piece of the magnetic material accidentally fallen in the ice.